would be so easy for her to go to the Social Security Administration and talk to them about what's going on here before making a fool of herself in front of God and everybody in these congressional hearings.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
It's live, it's local, it's the Dale.
Come on, you poor workers, good news to you I'll tell. How the good old union has come in here to dwell.
A battle in the heart of Alabama caught our attention. Coal miners in one community, they've been on strike now for months.
Working as long as 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, in some of the most dangerous conditions.
I really think that the labor movement is the single greatest force for democracy in the history of the United States.
The story of Alabama is a story of not just resilience, but of militancy.
I say no contract, you say no code. No contract, no contract.
If we ain't all free, ain't none of us free.
You're listening to Alabama's only union talk radio show, The Valley Labor Report, with Adam Keller and Jacob Morrison.
That's right, folks. My name is Jacob Morrison. I am filling in for the Dale Jackson Show today on Wednesday morning. Having a good time. Filling in for Dale. He is off. He's on his Christmas vacation. Having a good time here. You can hear me every Saturday morning on this station from 9:30 to 11 a.m. on WVNN. You can also find us on YouTube and Facebook every single week. And every single day on YouTube and Facebook, we have clips. And it is now that time of the day for Dale's favorite segment of the show. That's right. It's time for Hate at 8.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
What's got you steamed? What's got you mad? Tell us now. It's time for Hate at 8.
Now, if any of you got anything else to say, now's the time!
That's right. Now is the time. If you've got a hate, get in here. 866-494-9866. 866-494-WVNN. If you have anything to hate on, then give us a call and give us your hate. I am now in the studio with Bugsy, and Bugsy has a hate. What are you hating on today?
You know, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I'm really hating on Dale. I don't know if you know this, but, you know, like you were talking a little bit about bosses and, you know, like unsafe workplaces. This place isn't very safe. You know, I cut my arm on a chair the other week.
My God.
Nobody cared. We don't even have Band-Aids.
Oh, my God.
And plus, he's kind of a tyrant. You know, the other day he told me, you know, he was like, I think I'm the reincarnation of Julius Caesar. And I was like, why do you think that, Dale? And he said, you know, it's because my birthday is the same day as Julius Caesar's. And I was like, I don't think you should be that proud to be Julius Caesar reincarnated, but that's, you know, whatever. I guess it makes sense since he's so, you know, oppressive and all. But
yeah.
Jesus. Anyways.
Wow.
What are you hating on today, Jacob?
I mean, geez, that's pretty difficult not to just make that my hate. Not having Band-Aids in the workplace. You gotta
who
get that
wouldn't hate him for that?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
come
crazy. Getting cut on chairs. Man, those can get infected. So yeah, you gotta get that fixed. Let me know and if you want after the show, and I can get you the phone number of the local OSHA inspector.
That would be really helpful. Thank you. I don't think that, you know, Dale and Yaffe would be happy to know I'm talking about him like that, but it really it needs to be fixed.
Oh yeah, well there you go. Very very brave of you, stunning and brave to stand up like that. I appreciate that. So you asked me what I'm hating on, and I'm hating on Lauren Boebert. Lauren Boebert is, you know, there's a lot of people in Congress that are just not very intelligent, or they're lazy and they don't do the research and they don't know what they're talking about and all this kind of stuff. And so Lauren Boebert is obviously among those, that kind of class of person in Congress. And she is engaging in this clip that I'm about to play you, she's engaging in the age-old project that Republicans have of trying to lay the groundwork for the destruction of a popular social welfare program. That program is Social Security, and so she is in this hearing trying to undercut the Social Security Administration, and we're going to play this for you, and I'm going to break it down here in just a second. Let's hear from Lauren Boebert.
You all are allowing delinquent employees to sit on their sofas at home instead of actually getting to work and doing their jobs. This is absolutely unacceptable.
So our employees are working whether they are in the office or at home, and they are.
Are you monitoring the work that they are doing from home on a regular basis?
Yes, we are.
Every employee, do you have the numbers of the hours that are submitted? Are you counting how many times they're logging into their computers and responding to casework?
So our employees are subject to the same performance management processes and oversight they are whether they're teleworking or working in an office. And we have systems in place that our managers use to schedule, assign, and track workloads. And that includes individual employee workloads in many cases. So real-time understanding of what actions are being processed at any particular given time. Additionally, our employees are required to be accessible to their supervisors, clients, colleagues, and external parties during work hours via a variety of means, including instant messaging, video platforms, and telephone. They are connected to the workplace, whether they are in the office or at the home.
Then why is the backlogs for Social Security applicants increased from 41,000 to 107,000?
Because we've been historically underfunded for a number of years now.
I don't think you're underfunded. You're funded at the Nancy Pelosi levels. At the Democrat levels, we just continued that same funding.
So I would say
at pandemic level spending.
So I'd say we'd have an increase of over 8 million beneficiaries over the last 10 years. At the same time, we experienced our lowest work staffing levels at the end of FY22. That's a math problem. I mean, that is a problem. If you have those workloads, increasing, and you don't have the staff to take care of those workloads, you're going to have the backlogs that you're talking about, Representative.
Well, I would love to see.
So there you go. There you go. She just has no idea what she's talking about. Absolutely none. Trying to attack the Social Security Administration without any basis in, it would be so easy for her as a congressperson to go to the Social Security Administration and talk to them about what's going on here. What's going on? What's the history here? Before making a fool of herself in front of God and everybody in these congressional hearings.
Hey, 5 seconds, just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
And so what she's trying to do here is it's twofold. And so one, just generally trying to attack government. And secondly, trying to attack telework. I'm going to talk about the first one and then the second one. So firstly, just trying to attack government generally, and trying to make it out like the people who work at the Social Security Administration are just lazy. They're not doing anything. All of these backlogs are because actually people at the Social Security Administration are just sitting on the couch watching movies and not doing any work. Obviously, this is not true because, like the head of the Social Security Administration there said, there are millions more people who utilize Social Security in some way than ever before in the history of the country. And in fiscal year 22, staffing levels reached a 25-year low. There has never been fewer people working for the Social Security Administration in the last quarter century than there were at the end of the last fiscal year. Okay? Like you said, that's a math problem. That is just simply a math problem. And when you have less people than you've ever had working there and more things to do, obviously your backlogs are going to increase dramatically. Here's some more numbers. Over the last decade, Social Security Administration, Social Security beneficiaries have increased by 25%. There's a quarter more people utilizing Social Security since 2010. At the same time, the operating budgets for the Social Security Administration has decreased by 17%. More work, less funding. Additionally, hiring is down by 50%. Like I said, staffing levels total at a 25-year low. There are some 10,000 unfilled vacancies because due to budget cuts, the Social Security Administration has not been able to replace more than 10,000 employees who left. 10,000 vacancies. I mean, imagine that. 10,000 people who are working these millions of cases are gone, and it's up to the rest of the folks there to make it up. How? How are you going to do that? And because of that, and this is like, it's a vicious cycle, because obviously, if you've got more work than you ever have before, your salary is not increasing. Your salary is staying the same, if you're lucky, adjusted for inflation. You're having to do more work than you ever have before. And so obviously, for the people that are left, that makes it difficult to justify staying. And we see that in the latest employee viewpoint survey from the federal government. Found that the Social Security Administration is the worst large agency to work for in the federal government. There is not a single large agency in the federal government that their employees are less happy at than the Social Security Administration. Staff attrition is sky high as workers leave for better jobs at other agencies and in the private sector. And that just makes sense. If you can get a better job at another agency with less work, right, with a more reasonable work-life balance, you can make more money. You're not going to have people looking over your shoulder, breathing down your back about telework. Or you can go in the private sector and make 20% more immediately. Why would you stay at the Social Security Administration? Why would you stay if that was the case? Since 2018, initial disability claim processing time has more than doubled because of this. 3.4 months in 2018 to 7.2 months in July 2023. Disability reconsideration processing time has almost doubled from 3.4 months to 6 months. Since 2019, average wait times for calls to be answered on the 800 number have increased by 115%, from 20 minutes to 43 minutes. There are now 4.2 million backlogged items pending at the payment centers. In fiscal year 22, it took 6 months on average for Social Security Administration and state disability determination services to process disability reconsideration requests. There are over 1 million claims pending at the state-run disability determination centers. Social Security Administration anticipates a 15.5-month wait time for disability hearing in 2023, after an average of an 11-month waiting time in 2022. These are all terrible numbers, terrible for the people that are dependent on this stuff. Imagine having to wait a year and a quarter for disability services when you can't work. That's terrible. That is a failure of the government. It is not a failure of the people that are trying to do it despite all of the obstacles that are put in their way. It is a failure of Congress to make sure that people are paid enough that it is a competitive job. And it is a failure of people to make sure that this can be administered well. And the reason that they don't want it administered well is because they want you to be frustrated with it. Social Security is the most popular government program in the country. If they can make your interactions with Social Security more difficult, more painful, more irritating, then they can bring those approval ratings down. And once the approval ratings are down, well then, there we go. It makes it a lot easier to privatize it, because after you have sabotaged the Social Security Administration, then you can turn around and look at it and say, look, isn't government a failure? Don't you hate government? Don't you hate government? Wouldn't it be so much better if there were a private organization running this? Wouldn't it be better if there were a company running this? And then all of my friends making a bunch of money off that, but they're not going to tell you that. But wouldn't it be so much better if there were a company running this instead of the government, after they have intentionally sabotaged it through underfunding? And that's the game plan there. And people will say, Jacob, they don't want to cut Social Security. They love Social Security. They're all old people. Why would they not love Social Security? Well, just take a look at the Republican Study Committee. The Republican Study Committee is like the moderate version of the Freedom Caucus, right? It's the organization that includes most Republicans in the House, and they put out a budget every year. They put out some sort of policy sheet. And every year, they always come out with a proposal to raise the retirement age. And what raising the retirement age does, and what a lot of people seem to not understand, is it's just an across-the-board cut, right? Because there's not actually one retirement age. There's 96 retirement ages from, 60 from 60 to like 70 or something. And at each retirement age, you get a different benefit amount. So when you, quote unquote, raise the retirement age, it's just an across-the-board cut. And so when you want to cut the retirement age by or when you want to raise the retirement age to 70 years old, what that would amount to is just a 20% retirement cut across the board. If you want to raise it to 68, that's a 7% cut across the board at all 96 retirement ages. And that's what they propose to do every single year. They want to cut Social Security. And it's important to understand that, because like they're always wanting to try to say, oh, it's just reform. It's reform. It's not, I don't want to cut it. I just want to reform it. And they hide behind what they actually want to do, which is cutting Social Security. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. And it should say something that they don't want to be straight with you about that. They don't want to be straight with you about that because they know that probably you would stop voting for them if they came out positively in favor of cutting Social Security. But that's what they want to do.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.
Which side are you on?